The hot Lagos sun was already biting down on people's skin as if the city owed it money. The air was thick with the smell of roasted corn, exhaust fumes, and fried akara from a woman's roadside stand. In the middle of all that chaos, with horns blaring and people shouting, "Oga, abeg shifts," was Femi, the one everybody called Femi Okada. If you lived around Ajegunle or had ever passed through Ikeja garage, you must have heard of him. Tall, dark, and muscular, with a jawline that could cut stone, Femi had the kind of smile that made women's hearts beat fast. He was a commercial motorbike rider, yes, but he carried himself like a prince. His leather jacket always smelled of expensive perfume he couldn't really afford, and his bike shone as if it was his second wife. But Femi had a weakness, a dangerous one. He couldn't say no to women. Married women, single ladies, widows, even girls just fresh out of secondary school. Femi was always chasing skirts. He called it enjoying life, but his close friends knew it was more than enjoyment, it was an addiction. "Femu, now what for you, oh?" his best friend Musa often told him. Musa was another Okada rider, short and round, with a belly that made him look like he had swallowed a small drum. "One day, all this woman matter go land you for wahala where you no go fit come out." Femi would just laugh, adjusting his black shades as he revved his bike. "Musa, no worry yourself. Life now one. If woman not dey oh, life no sweet. As them they say, now woman be salt of life." But Musa would shake his head. Salt fit spoil food oh if it too much. Around the park were other characters who made up Femi's daily life. There was Baba Taju, the old vulcanizer who fixed tires and always had one advice or the other about how young men were wasting their destinies. There was also Mama Chioma, the akara seller, who secretly admired Femi but often warned him to be careful. "Femi, fine boy like you, abeg calm down. No be every skirt where you see you go chase. Some skirts they carry fire where they burn oh." Femi would grin and reply, "Mama Chioma, fire dey sweet when it warm body." And then there was Grace. She was the daughter of a tailor that walked beside the motor park. Grace had a round face, bright eyes, and a quiet way of looking at people. She was one of the few women Femi hadn't succeeded in winning over. She would always ignore his jokes and pass as if he wasn't there. Sometimes she would even mutter under her breath, "Womanizer." The truth was, Femi loved the chase. For him, it wasn't even about love anymore. It was about power, about proving that no woman could resist him. But that pride was the beginning of his downfall. One hot afternoon, after dropping a passenger near Mile 2, Femi was riding back when he saw her. She stood at the roadside like an angel falling from heaven. Her skin was smooth, her gown flowed like river water, and her eyes, they carried something he couldn't explain. They weren't just beautiful, they had depth, like they could see through his soul. "Oga, you dey go Ajegunle?" she asked in a soft but firm voice. "Yes, enter," Femi said, his heart already racing. The moment she climbed the bike, a strange chill ran through him, even though his sun was burning hot. Her perfume was sweet but strong, almost intoxicating. She sat so close that Femi felt his body reacting in ways he couldn't control. But beyond the attraction, there was something unsettling. He couldn't place it. They rode in silence for a while, but then she leaned closer and whispered, "I know you, Femi." Femi nearly lost control of the bike. "You sabi me from where?" She smiled, but her smile didn't reach her eyes. "I know everything about you. I know how you live your life. I know the women you chase, the promises you break, the hearts you destroy." Femi laughed nervously. "Madam abeg, no vex me oh. We dey Lagos oh. No be today fine girls dey yarn like this. Maybe you don't dey crush on me secretly." But the lady didn't laugh. She only touched his shoulder lightly, and for a second, his whole body shivered. "Be careful, Femi. Every man thinks he is strong until he meets the woman that will break him." When they reached Ajegunle, she directed him into a narrow street Femi had never entered before. It was too quiet, too empty. He parked in front of an old compound that looked abandoned. The walls were cracked, the paint peeled off, and the gate hung loosely as if one push could bring it down. "Here," she said, climbing down. She gave him money, but as her fingers touched his palm, a coldness seeped into him. He looked up and she smiled again. "We will meet again, very soon." She walked into the compound and disappeared. For days after that encounter, Femi couldn't sleep properly. He would dream of the lady standing over him, her eyes glowing in the dark, whispering things he couldn't understand. He would wake up sweating, his heart beating like a talking drum. Musa noticed it first. Femo, wetin dey worry you? You dey look somehow these days. No more woman matter. Are you don't finally fall in love, oh? Femi forced a laugh. Guy, no be love, oh. Just stress. Lagos life dey tire person. But in his heart, he knew it wasn't just stress. Something about that lady had entered his spirit. He started seeing her face in every woman he chased. Even when he tried to lie with another woman, her voice would echo in his head. Every man thinks he is strong until he meets the woman that will break him. One night, Femi had a dream that shook him to his bones. In the dream, he was riding his bike through a dark forest. The trees bent towards him, whispering his name. Suddenly, he saw the mysterious lady standing in the middle of the path, her white gown glowing like moonlight. She lifted her hand, and immediately his bike stopped moving. He tried to speak, but his voice was gone. She walked closer, touched his chest, and said, "You belong to me now." Femi screamed and woke up. His room was freezing cold, even though the fan was off. He looked around panting, and he swore he saw the shadow of a woman at the corner of his room. When he blinked, it was gone. From that day, things began to fall apart. His bike broke down more often than usual. Customers avoided him, saying his face looked strange. Women who once ran to him started ignoring him. Even Grace, who used to insult him casually, now looked at him with a kind of pity, like she already knew what was happening to him. Baba Taju, the old vulcanizer, was the one who finally spoke up. "Femi, I dey watch you. Your eyes dey red, your body dey restless. Tell me true, wetin you carry?" Femi tried to deny it, but Baba Taju was no fool. "Look, my boy, no be every woman we stand for road na woman. Some be things wey no belong to this world. If you no careful, then go use your destiny play ayo." Femi laughed shakily. "Baba, you dey watch too much Nollywood film, oh." But Baba Taju didn't laugh. He only spat on the ground and muttered, "You go soon know." The truth was, Femi already knew something was wrong. The lady wasn't ordinary. She had marked him somehow, and now his life was spiraling out of control, but he was too proud to admit it. Instead, he kept telling himself he could handle it, that maybe she was just another woman playing hard to get. But deep down, in the silence of the night, Femi was afraid, because he could feel it. His time was running out.
The next week was like a nightmare that refused to end. Lagos was still its usual noisy self. Buses screeching, hawkers shouting, pure water, gala, recharge card. But for Femi, the world had changed. He wasn't the same Femi Okada anymore. Every time he rode his motorbike, he felt eyes on him. Not normal human eyes, but sharp, burning eyes that seemed to cut into his soul. Sometimes, when he looked into his side mirror, he swore he saw her sitting behind him, her flowing gown, her cold smile. He would turn sharply to check, and there would be nothing. But the smell of her perfume always lingered, that sweet, heavy scent that made his head spin. "Guy, I don't dey tell you, oh." Musa shook his head one morning at the garage. "Your face don't change. You know they laugh again, no they gist again. Even woman matter sef, you just dey dull. Now who you carry? Talk true." Femi forced a grin. "Now stress, Musa. Work too much. Lagos traffic dey tire person." But Musa wasn't convinced. "No be stress. Now something hold you. I know. No be everything we get breast and nyash na woman." Femi snapped. "Abeg Musa, free me. You no go understand." And truly, Musa wouldn't understand. How could he explain that his nights were filled with terrifying visions? That every time he closed his eyes, the mysterious woman appeared. Sometimes she stood at his door, knocking softly, her voice calling his name. Other times, she was in his room, sitting on his bed, stroking his face, whispering, "You are mine, Femi, forever mine." He tried to pray, but his mouth would freeze in the middle of Our Father. He even went to Mama Chioma, pretending he wanted akara, but secretly hoping she would send something. She was known in the area as a woman with strong spirit. As she handed him her change, she looked straight into his eyes. Her smile faded. "Femi, wetin you do?" Femi stammered. "Mama, wetin you mean?" She shook her head slowly. "Your aura don't change. I dey see shadow around you. Be careful. Some women no be human being, no." The words hit him like thunder. He staggered back, almost dropping his akara. Mama Chuma, abeg no talk that kind thing. I no kill person oo. She sighed. No be by killing. Some mistakes na bigger than murder. Go find help before it's too late. But Femi didn't know where to start. How do you tell people you are being haunted by a woman you picked on your bike? Who would believe him? That night, his torment deepened. He dreamt he was in a large hall filled with mirrors. Each mirror showed his reflection, but the faces were twisted, grinning wickedly. Then suddenly, the mirrors cracked, and the woman stepped out. Her eyes glowed red. Her voice echoed like thunder. "You thought you could use women and go free?" she said, her tone sharp like broken glass. "You break hearts, destroy marriages, scatter destinies. Now I will scatter yours." Femi fell on his knees. "Please, I don't know. Abeg, forgive me." She laughed, a laughter that chilled his bones. "Forgiveness? No, you must pay, unless you give me your life." He woke up with a loud scream, his body drenched in sweat. His room felt like an oven, even though the fan was spinning at full speed. And there, sitting at the edge of his bed, was a shadowy figure. He blinked hard. The figure dissolved into the darkness. That morning, his bike refused to start. No matter how much he kicked, the engine coughed and died. Musa came over to help, but gave up after several tries. This one not be mechanical problem, na spiritual matter o. Spiritual care? Femi tried to laugh, but his voice cracked. Abeg, no dey talk nonsense. Musa leaned close. If you no serious, go meet Baba Ibeji. Him dey pray, him dey see, he fit help you. Desperate, Femi agreed. Later that evening, they went to see Baba Ibeji, a middle-aged man with piercing eyes who lived in a small compound near Orili. The moment Baba Ibeji saw Femi, he shook his head. "My son, why? Why you open door for spirits when no suppose enter your life?" Femi fell on his knees. "Baba, I don't know. I just carry woman on bike. I don't do her anything." Baba Ibeji closed his eyes, muttered a few incantations, then opened them again. "She no be ordinary woman. She be spirit of vengeance. She dey feed on men where they misuse women. You think say your womanize in a small matter? Every tear you cause, every heart you break, na sacrifice where they fatten her. Now she choose you." Femi's heart raced. "Baba, abeg help me. I don't want again. I swear, if God save me from this thing, I go change. I go leave woman matter." Baba Ibeji sighed. "It no go easy. Spirits like her no dey let go just like that. She go torment you till you either submit or fight. You ready to fight?" "Yes," Femi cried. "Anything." Baba Ibeji gave him a small bottle of oil and a white candle. "Pray every midnight. Use the oil on your forehead. Light the candle and call on God. But beware, she go come stronger. If your heart's no pure, if you still dey desire other women, she go destroy you completely." That night, Femi followed the instructions. He oiled his forehead, lit the candle, and prayed with trembling lips. Midnight passed in silence, and for the first time in weeks, he felt some peace. But just as he was drifting off, a cold wind blew through his window. The candle flittered violently. Then the woman appeared, her gown whipping like it was underwater, her eyes blazing. "You think oil and candle can save you?" she hissed. "You belong to me, Femi. You cannot run." The candle went out. Darkness swallowed the room. Femi screamed, clutching his chest, as he felt invisible fingers pressing down on him, choking him. He gasped for breath, fighting with all his strength. In that moment, he remembered Baba Ibeji's words, "Call on God." With his last strength, he croaked, "Jesus, save me!" Instantly, the pressure lifted. The woman shrieked, her voice tearing through the air like broken glass. The candle relit itself, the flame burning bright. The woman's figure dissolved into smoke and vanished. Femi collapsed on the floor, crying like a baby. For the first time in his life, he felt truly powerless. He realized his weakness for women had opened a door he could never easily shut. The next morning, Grace found him outside the garage, sitting alone, looking pale and weak. She dropped the nylon bag of bread she was carrying and frowned. "Femi, are you sick?" He looked up, his eyes red from crying. Grace, abeg, pray for me. I don't suffer. I dey see things wey no be ordinary. I swear, if God save me from this thing, I no go ever chase woman again. Grace stared at him shocked. She had never seen Femi humble before. His arrogance was gone, his voice shook with fear. For a moment, she felt pity for him. I don't tell you before, womanizing no dey end well. You dey destroy lives. Now see where e gon land you. Femi bowed his head. I know. I be fool, but please help me. Grace sighed. Come church with me on Sunday. Maybe God go deliver you. But Femi, this no be only about prayer. You must change for real. If not, that spirit go return stronger than before. Femi nodded desperately. I go change, I swear. But deep inside, he wondered, would change be enough? Or had the spirit already claimed him? The days that followed were filled with suspense. Sometimes he felt free. Other times he felt her presence watching him. And each time he saw another pretty woman, temptation still whispered in his ears. And in the shadows, the woman waited, smiling, plotting, ready for revenge. Because the battle for Femi's soul had only just begun. Sunday came, and for the first time in his life, Femi walked into a church not to chase women, but to seek salvation. Grace had insisted he follow her to her church, a small but vibrant Pentecostal assembly in Ajigule. The moment he stepped inside, the noise of drums, clapping, and fiery prayers hit him like a wave. People shouted Holy Ghost fire and die by fire with veins bulging in their necks. Femi, who was used to loud Lagos parks, suddenly felt small. His pride melted further when the pastor, a short but fierce-looking man named Pastor Daniel, stopped mid-sermon and pointed at him. You, young man, the pastor thundered. Yes, you in the brown shirt. Stand up. The whole congregation turned to look at Femi. He stood slowly, his legs shaking. There is a strange woman following you, Pastor Daniel declared. She is not human. She is from the water, a spirit sent to destroy your life because of your weakness for women. Am I lying? The church gasped. Femi's mouth went dry. He stammered, Pastor, not true. The pastor's voice grew even louder. You have played with fire for too long. You thought it was enjoyment, but every woman you used was a sacrifice. This spirit has legal ground over your life. If you don't change completely, you will die suddenly, and your soul will not rest. Femi fell to his knees, tears streaming down his face. Pastor, I beg, I no wan die. I swear, I go change. Just help me. The congregation began to pray violently, their voices rising like thunder. Holy Ghost fire, every spirit of marine woman, release him. Femi felt like his body was burning. His hands shook, his head pounded, and suddenly he screamed not in his own voice, but in a strange, deep voice that shocked everyone. He belongs to me, the voice roared. He is mine. He cannot escape. People shouted louder, clapping, stomping, speaking in tongues. Pastor Daniel shouted back, Who are you? The voice laughed bitterly. I am the one he invited. I am the one who feeds on his desires. I am the one who will finish him. Holy Ghost fire, the pastor shouted. The congregation echoed it, the room vibrating. Femi convulsed, rolling on the floor. He felt something choking him, pressing his chest. He opened his eyes briefly and saw her standing in the middle of the church, her white gown flowing, her eyes blazing with fury. Nobody else seemed to see her. No, she screamed. He is mine. But as the prayers intensified, her vision blurred, her figure shaking like smoke in strong wind. With one final scream, she vanished. Femi collapsed on the floor, gasping for air. Sweat drenched his body. Pastor Daniel laid hands on him and prayed softly until he calmed. When Femi finally sat up, his body was weak, but his spirit felt lighter, freer. The pastor knelt beside him. Young man, you have been delivered today, but deliverance is not the end. You must change your life completely. Leave fornication, leave womanizing. If you go back, the spirit will return 7 times stronger. Femi nodded, tears rolling down. I will change, Pastor. I promise. I don't want to die.
Grace helped him up, her eyes softer now. For the first time, she looked at him not with pity or disgust, but with hope. But though Femi had been delivered that day, the torment was not over. That night, he slept better than usual, but at exactly 3 a.m., he woke to a strange sound, like water dripping on his floor. He looked around but saw nothing. Then he heard a voice, her voice. Femi? His blood froze. He turned toward the window, and there she was, standing outside, her eyes glowing, her gown dripping with water like she had just walked out of a river. You think you can escape me? She whispered. No church, no oil, no prayer can break the bond between us. You opened the door, Femi. You gave me power, and now you will suffer. Femi leapt from his bed shouting, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. But the more he shouted, the louder she laughed. Suddenly, his room filled with water, rising fast around him. He struggled, gasping for breath, flailing his arms. He thought he would drown. But then, just as quickly, the water vanished. His room was dry, his bed wet only from his sweat. He fell to his knees, shaking violently. God, I beg, don't let her kill me. I swear, I don't change. The next morning, he told Musa everything. Musa, who had always warned him, looked at him with pity. I dey tell you since, you know here, woman no dey finish for Lagos, but you wan use your destiny do experiment. See where you don't land yourself. I swear, Musa, Femi said, his voice trembling, no more woman matter. I don't learn my lesson. But life was not ready to forgive him so quickly. One evening, while he was parked near Ikeja, waiting for passengers, a young lady waved him down. She was slim, beautiful, with long braids and a smile that could melt ice. Normally, Femi would have jumped at the chance, but now, fear gripped him. She climbed on his bike. Take me to Ojota. As they rode, Femi felt uneasy. Something about her laugh, her perfume, reminded him of the mysterious woman. He began to sweat. Halfway through the ride, he couldn't hold it anymore. He stopped suddenly, turned to her and asked, Who are you? The lady frowned. What do you mean? I just need a ride. But when she smiled again, her teeth looked sharper. Her eyes glowed faintly. Femi screamed and pushed her off the bike. She vanished into thin air before hitting the ground. People around shouted, Femi don't craze, oh. Some laughed, others shook their heads. But Femi didn't care. He sped off, tears in his eyes. That night, he went back to Baba Ibeji. Baba, I beg, help me. She no wan leave me. Baba Ibeji sighed. I tell you before, spirits like her no dey let go. But if you hold on to God, she go tire. The problem be say your body still dey weak. Your desire for women never die completely. That be her weapon. Until you kill that desire, she will always find road to torment you. Femi's heart sank. He knew Baba Ibeji was right. Even though he feared the spirit, part of him still struggled when he saw beautiful women. His flesh wasn't free yet. That night, as he lay in bed, he remembered the faces of women he had hurt. Married women whose homes he helped scatter, single girls he lied to, widows he used and abandoned. The guilt crushed him. For the first time, he truly wept for them. God, I not just want freedom for myself. I want forgiveness for the lives I destroy. If you forgive me, I go spend my life warning others. I go tell young men, make them no follow my path. I beg, just free me. As he prayed, he felt a strange peace wash over him. For the first time, he didn't just want to escape torment. He wanted to be a better man. But somewhere, in the darkness of the spiritual world, the woman still watched, her eyes burning with revenge. This is not over, Femi, she whispered. Not until you pay in full.
For weeks, Femi tried to live a new life. He avoided women completely. He stopped hanging around bus stops where he used to flirt with passengers. Even when ladies smiled at him, he kept his eyes down. The garage boys laughed. Ah, Femi don't turn pastor, oh, one mocked. Now marine spirits come calm him down, another joked. But Femi didn't care. He knew what he had seen. He knew the price of his weakness. But deep down, he also knew she wasn't done with him. The torment became subtle at first. When he rode his bike at night, he would see a woman crossing the road suddenly, forcing him to brake hard. But when he looked again, no one was there. Sometimes he would hear laughter in his ears while riding. At other times, his passengers would complain of strange coldness on his bike. One afternoon, Grace came to the park with food. "I brought rice," she said shyly. The other riders whistled. "Femi don't catch good woman at last, oh." But Grace wasn't laughing. She looked at him with concern. "You've lost weight. Are you still seeing her?" Femi swallowed hard. "Yes, she no gree leave me." Grace placed a hand on his. "Then you must fight harder. Femi, your battle is not just with her, it's with yourself. If you don't truly let go of your old life, she will always find a way." Her words sank deep into him. That night, he prayed more sincerely than ever. He knelt by his bed, tears streaming. "God, I beg, give me strength. My body still dey weak, but I no want go back. Deliver me completely." But as the prayer left his lips, the wind outside howled violently. His window burst open. The candle he lit blew out, and then she came. The mysterious woman stepped into his room, her gown dripping with water, her eyes burning like coals. Her beauty was sharper than ever, but it was a beauty laced with danger. "So," she whispered, "you think you can abandon me?" Femi fell to the ground. "Please, I don't change. Leave me alone." She laughed softly. "Change? After all the women you destroyed, after the tears you caused? No, Femi, you cannot walk away without paying. Freedom has a price." "What price?" he shouted desperately. She knelt beside him, her cold fingers caressing his face. "Either you give me your soul or you suffer until death." Femi screamed, "Jesus!" The name hit her like fire. She shrieked, her form shaking. But before she vanished, her voice echoed in his room. "If you don't give me, I will take everything you love, one by one." The next morning, tragedy struck. Musa, his best friend, was knocked down by a downfall bus while riding. The news spread quickly around the garage. By evening, Musa was dead. Femi couldn't breathe. He sat on his bike, tears streaming. He remembered her words, "I will take everything you love." Was Musa's death his fault? Mama Chioma came to him quietly. "Femi, you need to stand strong. This spirit they test you. She won't break you by touching those close to you." But Femi was broken already. Guilt tore at him. He buried Musa with other riders by his side, but his heart screamed, "God, why him? Why not me?" That night, the woman returned. She stood at the foot of his bed, smiling cruelly. "Now you see, you belong to me, Femi. I warned you. If you resist, I would destroy everything you hold dear. Next, it will be Grace." "No!" Femi shouted. "Leave Grace out of this." She tilted her head. "Then give me yourself." Femi wept bitterly. "I can't. I belong to God now. I no fit give you." Her smile faded, replaced with fury. "Then watch her suffer." She disappeared into smoke. The next day, Grace collapsed at her father's shop. People rushed her to the hospital. The doctors were confused. She was breathing, but her body was cold, unresponsive, as though her soul was asleep. Femi's world shattered. He sat by her hospital bed, holding her hand. "Grace, abeg, wake up. Na me she dey fight, not be you. If you die because of me, I no go forgive myself." He remembered Baba Ibeji's warning. Until you kill your desire, she will always find road to torment you. For the first time, Femi truly understood. This battle wasn't just against the spirit, it was against his own sins, his past, his unrepented ways. He fell on his knees right there in the hospital, ignoring who was watching. He prayed aloud, tears soaking his shirt. "God, I surrender. I no want women again. I no want fornication again. I give you my body, my life, my soul. If na only one way to save Grace, take my life instead, but free her, I beg." The hospital room trembled suddenly. Lights flickered. Grace's hand grew even colder. And then, a shadowy figure, her again. "You would give your life for her?" the spirit sneered. "Yes," Femi shouted. "Take me, but leave her." The spirit's eyes narrowed. For the first time, she looked unsettled. "You would sacrifice yourself?" "Yes," Femi cried. "Because I love her, because I don't want her to suffer because of my sins." The spirit screamed, a sound like broken glass. "No! Love is forbidden." Her form began to twist violently, her body shaking like smoke in a storm. "Your repentance burns me. Your sacrifice is fire."
She shrieked louder and louder until with a burst of light, she vanished completely. Grace gasped suddenly, her eyes flying open. She looked around confused. "Femi?" He grabbed her hand, sobbing. "You are alive! Thank God you are alive!" She sat up slowly, weak but conscious. "What happened?" Femi couldn't explain. He only knew one thing. The spirit was gone. Her power was broken. But freedom had come at a price. He had lost Musa, his closest friend, and his past would forever haunt him. From that day, Femi was a changed man. He stopped womanizing completely. He stopped chasing shadows of pleasure. Instead, he dedicated his life to warning other young men. At the garage, whenever riders laughed about catching women, Femi would shake his head. "Listen, not be every woman be woman, no. Some they carry tears where they go drown your destiny. Some they carry spirits where they go bury you. Respect yourself before spirit go teach you lesson." The garage boys laughed at first, but slowly they began to listen. They saw the scars in his eyes, the seriousness in his voice. And Grace? She stood by him, her quiet strength helping him rebuild his life. But sometimes, late at night, when the wind blew through his window, Femi would still shiver because though he had won the battle, he knew he would carry the memory of her forever.
Months passed, and life in Lagos moved on. The city never stopped buzzing Okada horns, downfall drivers shouting Ojuelegba straight, hawkers running between traffic with sachet water. For many, it was the same old hustle. But for Femi, life had taken a different path. He was no longer Femi Okada the Womanizer. His name in the garage had changed. People now called him Pastor Femi, even though he wasn't officially a pastor. He wasn't wearing collar or carrying Bible everywhere, but his story had become a sermon on its own. Sometimes, young riders would gather around him during breaks. "Femo," they would tease. "Tell us again about the marine woman where won't carry you." He would shake his head. "My brothers, not be joko. If I dey lie, make I no wake tomorrow. That woman nearly finish me. Now my womanizing give her power. If not be God, by now, na cemetery una for dey visit me." The boys would laugh, but deep inside, they respected him. They knew something had changed. Grace remained by his side. She wasn't just his friend anymore. She became his anchor. After her mysterious collapse and recovery, she too had grown deeply spiritual. Together, they often attended night vigils, prayer meetings, and Bible study. Slowly, Femi found himself desiring not just freedom, but holiness. But even though the marine spirit was gone, her shadow still haunted him. At night, he would dream of water, rivers stretching endlessly, waves crashing violently. Sometimes he would wake up drenched in sweat, fearing she had returned. But Grace would hold his hand, whispering, "God has set you free. Don't look back." Still, he carried guilt. Musa's death weighed heavily on him. He often went to the small cemetery in Ajegunle, where Musa had been buried. He would sit by the grave and speak softly. "Musa, my brother, I no fit bring you back, but I promise your death no go waste. I go warn other men. I go fight this battle with my voice, so nobody go fall where I fall." And he kept that promise. One Saturday afternoon, a group of young men gathered at the park, boasting about their conquest with women. They laughed loudly, slapping each other's backs. Femi overheard and walked up to them. "My brothers, I beg you, stop. No be every woman you see you go use for enjoyment. The tears you cause today fit become cause tomorrow." They laughed at first. "Abeg, Femi, no start your preaching. We just dey flex. Life no hard like that." But Femi's eyes burned with seriousness. "Flex? That na the same thing I talk before spirit nearly kill me. You think say you dey use women, but na your destiny then they use. My best friend die because of me. I nearly die too. You won't wait make death knock before you learn?" The laughter died slowly. One of them, a younger rider, barely 20, looked troubled. "But if we no womanize, how life go sweet?" Femi sighed deeply. "Life no dey sweet when you dey run from shadow every night. Life no dey sweet when spirit dey choke you inside dream. Life no dey sweet when you dey beg God for forgiveness with tears wey no dey dry. My brothers, true sweetness dey for peace of mind, and na only God fit give you that."
His words sank. They didn't all change that day, but seeds were planted. Some began to avoid reckless womanizing. Others watched Femi closely, curious about the new life he lived. But Femi knew redemption wasn't about preaching to others alone. He had to rebuild his own life. One evening, he visited Grace's father's shop. The old tailor was bent over his sewing machine, humming softly. When he saw Femi, he frowned. "Ah, Femi the Womanizer, wetin you dey find here again?" Femi bowed his head. "Baba Grace, I deserve that name, but I no be the same man again. I dey here to beg for forgiveness, for the way I used to live and for the way I treated Grace before." The old man studied him. "People no change easily. Why I go believe you?" Femi's voice shook. "Because I nearly die. Because Musa died. Because Grace almost died too. Papa, I swear with my life, I no go ever womanize again. All I want now na to serve God and treat your daughter with respect." The old man stared at him for a long moment, then sighed. "If not true, then prove it with your life. Words are cheap. Actions be the only proof." And Femi did prove it. He stopped spraying perfume to attract women. He stopped spending nights in clubs. He used his money to support Grace's family, buy food for Mama Chioma, and help Baba Taju repair tires when business was slow. Little by little, people began to trust him again. But the final test came months later. One late night, after dropping his last passenger, Femi rode through a lonely stretch of road near Mile 2. The streetlights flickered weakly. The air was heavy. Suddenly, he saw her standing by the roadside, dressed in the same flowing white gown. His heart stopped. Had she returned? She raised her hand, signaling for a ride. Her eyes locked on his, and for a brief moment, he felt the old pull, the temptation that had once enslaved him. His body shook. But then, he remembered Musa. He remembered Grace collapsing. He remembered the countless tears he had caused women. And he shouted aloud, "No! I don't belong to you again. I belong to God." He revved his engine and sped past her. As he looked back, her figure dissolved into smoke and vanished into the night. Tears filled his eyes as he rode, not tears of fear, but of victory. For the first time, he knew he had truly broken free. Months later, Femi and Grace stood at the altar, hand in hand. The church was filled with friends, riders, and family. Even Mama Chioma danced with joy. Pastor Daniel, the same man who had prayed for his deliverance, now joined them in holy matrimony. What God has joined together, he declared, let no man or spirit put asunder. As they exchanged vows, Femi's heart swelled. He wasn't just promising grace, he was promising God, promising himself, promising the memory of Musa that he would never go back. And when the choir sang, Femi lifted his hands high, tears streaming. He was no longer a prisoner of desire. He was a man redeemed. The story of Femi the Womanizer became a legend in Ajegule. Parents told it to their sons as warning, riders told it as testimony, women told it as a reminder that tears never go unseen. And Femi, he lived the rest of his life as a man who had seen the other side and returned, not by his strength, but by mercy. Because in the end, he learned the greatest lesson of all. No sin is too sweet to be worth your soul.